We're live. What's going on, guys? We usually do this from Dallas's place on Wednesday nights, but he's wrapped up doing AHRA stuff. So we'll let him, because that's important. He's, big sanctioning body, right? So he's in the middle of doing all of that. So I figure, I'll just do it myself tonight. So what is going on, guys? How's everything? Let's see, who do we got here? Unfinished project, Plan Z. Don and Wendy English, what's happening? Big Bear, Big Reginald 20. Okay. Okay. So Anthony Smiley, I'm a 35-year-old engine building guide. Has technology increased too much for most of that guide to be useful? No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, the pistons go up and down, the crankshaft rotates. It's, What's going on, DBC? Okay. We're working with a new thing here tonight, so it's a little bit different than I'm used to seeing. So just it doesn't take much to throw me off. I'm just like, it's Uncle Kathy, and she's brought me coffee.
Hey guys.
Thank you.
Coffee for you.
Okay.
You're
so awesome.
Here? You good?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
You know how to
Monty Capoletti says that I lie. What do I lie about, Monty? I don't lie about anything. I'm too freaking honest.
Tell people you got a mic coming. So
Yes.
if they're gonna complain, it'll be here in Friday.
We have a mic coming. Look, we have a light. Okay, I got a light. Well, see, it's backwards too. I'm watching myself backwards on this. It's weird. So we got a light. So now I don't look like I'm like sitting in the dark in the corner in the shadows, like lurking, right? And she said, if I knew the light was going to be good, I would have trimmed my beard. Big Bear says, hello, Uncle Kathy. Okay. It is quiet here tonight, Don or Wendy. I don't know which one it is. Yeah, no, nobody's barking. Martin Hildebrand. Dallas is doing AHRA stuff. He called me this morning. He says he's busy. He's wrapped up today. So we're just going to do this from here tonight. Ignore you? I don't ignore you, Monty. Why would I ignore you? Can't wait for the new building videos. Neither can I. I mean, we were there just about an hour ago, measuring things off to figure out where stuff's got to go. We picked up some shelves, we picked up a cabinet and whatnot. So we have to figure out, because it's more of a studio than a shop, really. So like the front part of it, we're going to leave like pretty much permanently vacant. So when we do get a car in there, and one of our viewers brings a car in, or we're going to do some kind of car feature or any of the things that we have planned, to video, it's all going to be in the front. So we're going to leave that open and clean and well lit and the whole bit. And the back of it will be a shop that we'll flog on our stuff and our builds and whatnot. So trying to get the balance, figure out what's got to go where, and it's a head full. Let's see, Joe Bowles, what's going on? Kiwi's good. Kiwi is slammed. I was over there. I guess it was early this last week, and he's busy. But we're talking about him doing a podcast. So there's a lot of stuff. See, with the new shop is going to come a lot of new projects, video projects, channels. So there's a lot. We've got a lot planned. Let's see. Gavin, greetings, brother man. Okay, Smokey Ram 3, what's happening? James Kaiser, what's going on? Okay. Okay, Jonathan Y. Let's see. Okay. Hate to ask a question in one. That's cool, brother. I'm glad you were here to ask the question. Can you give some basic advice for a fuel-efficient 318? Back-facing, porting, etc. Fuel efficiency, okay, if you can, those fast burn, high swirl 302 heads, the 302 casting, that's the head you want to use. Your back facing is okay. but porting only to clean it. Don't make anything any bigger than what it is. If you can't find a set of those heads, those 66, 67, 67 to 69, 273, 318 heads, it's the same head. It's the same head with a better exhaust port. But I guess that's, and mostly for efficiency, you're gonna find most of your efficiency in the basic tune-up, not so much in the in the heads and whatnot. You want a quick curve in the distributor. You want it to come in real fast. It's more tuning than what you're going to do with those heads. Okay. And I see now. I don't know how to close this. I guess it just stays up there until the next one comes up. Okay. Let's see. Zero, what's happening, brother man? Let's see. Mike's Garage. Great news. No, here. See, I have to get used to doing this. Picked up your block and heads from the machine. Congratulations. I got the 318 for the kitchen rebuild from the machine shop yesterday. So isn't it great when you get like a fresh block right from the machine shop? You just want to like stare at the boards, right? But yeah, congratulations, brother man. That's Christmas. That's gearhead Christmas when you get your stuff from the machine shop. Let's see. James Kaiser, you just made it past your 7 months clean. Congratulations, brother. That is absolutely awesome. Everybody, this is, give this guy some, congratulations. 7 months. That's not easy, man. Keep at it. You don't have to keep at it. You've got it knocked. It's knocked. You got it. That's all in your past. Nothing but clean sailing ahead. Joe K. The chat with Ryan Brute the other day was about chasing intermittent problems. Fully agree. That's the death of everything modern. I swear to God, that's what it is. It was for a while. It was the check engine light because they had it figured so that after a certain amount of time you would have what I used to call cascading electronic failure, meaning that you'll fix one thing, then like almost immediately something else will go. And so the check engine light was always on. And in a lot of states at the time, you couldn't get the car inspected without the check engine light on. So now a lot of the states have done away with that, and they're doing away with the annual inspections altogether. So now it's like these intermittent failures. It's almost like they've engineered intermittent bugs into the cars to make it impossible to diagnose. Okay. Anthony Smithy, thank you, sir. Have there been any updates on the 318 that went to the dyno? I haven't heard anything from it. As far as I know, there's a holdup at the border. So the border between New York and Canada is closed. So you want to do is, if you're curious about that engine, you want to go to Lunar Outlaw Garage. Brian, it's his motor. So I have no idea what's going on with that thing. The last I heard, if John Wilburn is on here, I know he stays on top of it. So yeah, check out Lunar Outlaw Garage, and if there's going to be any updates on that motor, it's going to be on that channel. Okay, let's see. 21st century crap. I agree, Danny. Yeah. John Wilburn. Yeah, actually we passed it on to him. Kathy found it on Facebook, and as it turns out, we knew the guy from something else, and he gave us a really good deal on it. But I don't have. Oh God, I have so many things going on, and for me to get involved in a DeSoto Hemi would mean like having to re-engineer a car that we've already got, or start a whole new project. That's just not in the cards. So I asked John if he would be interested in it, and he jumped on it. So he ran out there and he grabbed it. I can't wait to see what he does with it. That's going to be a neat deal. The cool thing about the DeSoto Hemi, right? What I find really fascinating is that it's the closest living relative to the LA motor. They're so close, it's not even funny. I had a DeSoto Hemi and a 318 or 340, I forget what it was, next to each other, blocks next to each other. And I was going shot for shot, like, what's the same and what's different on them. And it's like, I tell you how close it is, right? The oil pan, if you take an LA oil pan and you put it against a DeSoto block, the back 8 holes all line up. Everything is exactly the same. And then just as you get towards the front of the motor, the holes get off just a little bit. So you could use an LA pan on the thing by just re-drilling, let's say, half the holes to the front. Other than that, it's exactly the same. The timing chain set is interchangeable. The front cover on a DeSoto is different, but it's the same exact bolt pattern as an LA cover. The only thing is there's a core plug that gets covered by the DeSoto one that gets left naked when you put an LA one on there. But the LA motor and the DeSoto are like so close, it's ridiculous. So I'm dying to see what, and of course it has the same motor mount ears on the side, the 3 lugs on each side, and it has the same bolt pattern as a 318, 340, small block, an LA. So I'm dying to see what he does with this thing. Oh, there you go, John. He's here. John Wilburn, he plans to take the block to the machine shop next week. Awesome. Okay, let's see. A 426. Okay. A 426 Hemi is our first gen. No, 426 Hemi is a second gen. And it's actually not even really second gen. It's more like 5th gen, right? Because initially, you had the first year out, you had Chrysler, right? 1951 with their series of motors. So it was a 331, 354, 392. The next year you had DeSoto, right? Was it 52? Yeah, 52. The DeSoto, and they had a 271, and that ran through the 345 DeSoto Hemis. So you could consider the DeSoto the second generation. Then you had the Dodge Hemi. The Dodge Hemi was an inch smaller in every dimension out externally from the DeSoto. And the Dodge Hemi started at 241 cubic inches, and it went to, I believe it was like 325, something like that. I don't know. So I would consider that to be 3rd generation, right? Or basically the early Hemis, the 1950s Hemis. So you've got 1st gen A, B, and C, right? Chrysler, Dodge, DeSoto. And then you've got the 426 Hemi, which is 2nd gen. So it would be 1964 through 1971. And then the 3rd gen is what we have today. Okay. Let's see. I have this printed ad for Hemi heads on an LA 318. Pretty crazy. It's from a drag racing event. They had sell for 15,000. Okay, that actually the guys who made those heads, are up in Dixon, Tennessee. They're about 40 miles from here, and it's a father and son team, but they haven't made those. They haven't produced those heads in a long time. But they were neat heads, very neat heads. It was actually a pretty cool package, priced high, and I guess that's why it didn't take off. Let's see. John Coyle, are you happy with the bottom rocket clutch? Would you spec it different now? No. I'm thrilled with the clutch. The very first thing that clutch did was destroy the rear end. So I mean, that's telling you, it's But I haven't run the car since. As soon as we're done with the move, we'll both that car and Plan Z. We've got to get those cars out and get the bugs worked out of them and everything. But bottom rocket's like ready to go, and the clutch is fantastic. Let's see. Colleen, you got your crush sleeve eliminator from Dr. Diff? Excellent. Yeah, crushed collars have no place on hot rods. Ever worked on a C4 Corvette? On occasion, yes. James Kaiser, do you have to have mechanical injection to run nitro? Short answer, yes, because of the volume of fuel that you have to run to keep the motor happy. Because remember, when you run a nitro, the fuel demand is beyond just what you're going to burn. Also, a percentage of the fuel that goes through there is to cool and coat the surfaces. So the top of the piston, the combustion chamber, the valves, even and the cylinder walls. The correct tune-up on a nitro motor would have all of those surfaces covered in liquid that doesn't actually burn. So when you run a nitro motor, the flame front is like a kernel surrounded by a liquid barrier. Does that make any sense? Because of that and the volume that you've got to put through there, I'm not aware of any electronic ignition system or injection system that could handle that. So as far as I know, there's nothing electronic currently available that would work on that. And that's besides the point. I mean, the mechanic works just fine. Okay, I would love to see a 3-3 Marathon engine build. I love that engine. I'm doing one for the, I joked around about it, but I think I may actually do it. I'm doing a 3D3 I'm doing 2 motors for the Gambler car, but just to get the car up and running. And I actually worked on it today, the car, because I've got to get ready to move. So I had to make steering for it. I had to fabricate a bunch of odds and ends. But I joked around about it, but I'm seriously thinking about doing a blindfold 3D3 build. Or just line up all of the parts, make sure everything's where it's got to be, and I'm going to build the whole motor blindfolded. Okay, what do we got here? You want to run nitro in a 300 inline 6? But you want to talk to us. I mean, I'm sure somebody's out there running. That's like the land speed guys who are all into that kind of stuff. So you want to find like oh God, I can't think of this actually. Anybody's not. But the guys that run El Mirage and Bonneville and all of that, they're into all of the inliners and all kinds of odd things on nitro. So I mean, that's where you want to find information about that. Silver Bell. Something I've been thinking about recently. By the time you get done setting preload on a new flat tappet cam, won't all the lube be put? No. The lube cam. See, that's why you use specific cam lube, because that's what it's designed for. It's designed to stick, to stay put for enough rotations for the actual splashing of the oil to take over and take its place. So no, I would be leery. Like, for instance, I wouldn't use like Motor Medic or Motor Honey or STP or anything like that as a cam loop. I would use, so when you're setting the motor up, you're putting a fresh cam in it, very specifically use a cam loop. It's specifically formulated for exactly that. Danny Boyd, you're asking about not the diesel injection pump, not for the volume. You're talking about nitro. You're talking about the volume. Gasoline. Okay, so the ratio from gasoline to alcohol is 2.2 times, and then you go from alcohol to nitro, and your absolute leanest is twice that. So I couldn't see a diesel pump keeping up with the sheer volume of fuel that's got to go through that thing. Also, I don't know what the curve is on a diesel pump. I wouldn't even try it. What's interesting Maybe I can get him on the show. Maybe we can do a live with him. I had a friend of mine named Brent Fanning, and he used to run a car called Utter Nonsense. It was a funny car painted up like a cow, right? And this is back in like the middle late 1980s, early 1990s, and we were all running at the time. We were running Enderley pumps and Waterman pumps. The Waterman red pump had come out. That was a big thing. But Brent was running his. I know it's going to sound crazy, right? He was running his car, and he qualified for some NHRA national events with it. He was running his car off of a washing machine pump. He modified a washing machine pump and ran it. It was a belt drive. I got to ask him about that. It's been so many years. I remember he told me that he gave me all of the details when he was doing it, right? But this is almost 30 years ago, so I don't remember the exact specifications. But yeah, Brent Fanning was running a washing machine pump on his blown fuel funny car, and doing really good. Like, I mean, he would sneak into the back half of a field every once in a while. Okay, let's see. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. Boxing Wisdom 64 comment. What's the car worth today? It's been fully. I don't know if you're asking somebody else. The Maytag Maniac. Yeah, he got booted out of the U.S. Nationals in Indy. He qualified, and in the first round, he packed his chute with cow shit. Please, Google Brent Fanning and U.S. Nationals, and the whole story will come up. I don't remember the details. I don't remember why he did that, but he left cow shit all over the starting line at the U.S. Nationals, and they booted him for that. Luke Reynolds, how's Lamb Chop going? I haven't talked to him in almost a year. Yes, it's a rollie. I smoke Bugler tobacco. I roll my own. Let's see. J. Russell Finch. What was it? It was some kind of. What was it? New studio. It was some kind of warehouse. They did something in there. Something with plants. I don't even really know. Okay, let's see. 383 906 heads. What piston to use for about 9.5 to 1 compression ratio? Well, I'll tell you what. 906 heads, 383, factory 10.25 1 compression. It's the only big block that has a positive, besides the Hemi, that has a positive deck height. So a zero deck flat top piston would get you right at about 9.75, just kissing close to 10 to 1 on a 383. Coffee, good. Okay. Let's see. Hoosier's Garage. What's going on, brother man? Let's see. Let's see. Smoking Man, Tony, would you consider building an R5 P7 motor? Is that the NASCAR motor? I know so little about them. I don't know. My friend, oh God, I think I just had a stroke. Come back to that one. Eric Funk. My friend Eric Funk has one of those motors in his He's got, actually, we should do a whole feature on his car. But no, I'm not familiar with them at all. I don't, it's not that I wouldn't consider building one. I don't really have a purpose for building one.
You okay?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
so
all,
you almost had a stroke.
yeah, no, I couldn't remember Eric Funk's name for some reason.
Do you need help?
No, I'm fine, I'm
Are
fine.
you sure?
I don't need any help. I've got this. I've got this. I saw a couple of guys do this stuff on the internet, and I know I can do it too. So, there you go.
All right, if you need help, just call.
Okay.
All right.
A coffee stroke. Yeah, my life is a coffee stroke. Let's see. Okay. Ben Nell. Bought a 71 Demon 340 and plumb crazy. Nice. Do I leave the 340 stock or add headers, cam kit, and aluminum Edelbrock anti manifold? Car has 750 Edelbrock manifold back. I don't know. I would tend to, if it's an original car, you know what I mean, original 340 Demon, man, I would have a hard time doing anything but dead stock with that, you know. But that's me. That's me. You know, it's just like, because I look at a car like that, and I'm like, you know, I want to hear sounds. I want to know what this thing was like. You know, it's like a time capsule kind of thing. So you want to like really capture it. You know, but then again, the day two thing with something like that, you know, with headers, small cam, yeah, I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. That 750 Edelbrock is not enough carburetor for that 340, by the way. 750 Holly, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. The 800 Edelbrock is a better. It's close enough. But if you are going to do headers and all of that, you definitely need to upgrade the carburetor on that thing. 340s breathe. They move a lot of atmosphere. Hey Harry, what's going on, brother man? You're dropping a customer's free digital challenge with a UTG shirt on yesterday. There you go. Did you sign autographs? Did people like stop you? You know? Wayne, have you found the heads on 340s are less flawed? Yeah, yes, but not all of them. The X heads, the X heads and early J heads have very carefully laid. I've never seen an X head or an earlier big valve J that needed really anything but the most minor of cleanup work. It's only when you get to the later J series, the O's, the H, the I head, because there's a bunch of different letter series, and then just no letter at all on them. That's where you really start running into issues. But the no, the X head 340s tend to be very quick. They were there were certain engines like the 426 Hemi, the original 340s. They were performance specific dedicated engines, and so they got special treatment. You know, like everything was done a little bit extra carefully with those things. You know, you'll never find anybody talk about a slug 340. Have you ever heard? Okay, I don't know how long you've been around, right? I've been around for way too long. Okay, and I have never heard the term slug 340. You know, think about it. Okay, who's your garage? Let's see. I love the comment, but I think the early 70s and back Mopar stuff was much better quality with a smaller head, and that's asking for a quality issue. No, man. I've had, you know, I'll tell you what, the small block heads are better than the big block heads. But I've had 516s and I've had 906s that were just absolutely terrible, terrible. No, it's not a factor of it just being a later 70s smog deal. Um, Uncle Kathy's painting looks like an ad for the Plymouth Mass Transit System. Actually, it is from an ad. She copied that from an ad, but it's pre-Rapid Transit System. Rapid Transit System was 1970. They did that, and that ad was from '68. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Mike N. Saw your video on ethanol gas E10. I'm still on the fence. I mean, phase separation can't be good for carb tank engine in the long run, right? Listen, I use nothing but 10% ethanol because that's what's available over here. So every one of my cars, every single vehicle that I own, right? Every single vehicle I own is tuned around 10% ethanol. And I drive them every day, you know. I never have a problem. Then they'll sit for 2, 3, 4 months because we put our cars in rotation, because you get bored of driving one, so you flip over to another one. So I always keep 3 of them that are in just like constant like daily use. So I rotate among them, and then I'll rotate amongst the other ones. And all of them, every single one of them uses nothing but E10, and they run fine. And I have no problems. I have no problem with water gathering. I have no problem with lines deteriorating. With all of these horror stories, I can't tell you about somebody who uses a car occasionally, what their experiences are, but my experience using them every single day of my life, like every single day, it's all I drive. Old cars on E10, and I never, vapor lock is the only issue that I come across. Vapor lock is a problem, but none of those other things are. Let's see. No such thing as a 70 Demon 340. Well, there was no Demons until 71. There's no such thing as a 71 340 Dart, right? A lot of people are like, oh, 71 340 Swinger doesn't exist. What? No, I'm a liar myself. Canada, was a dealership in Canada that special ordered 50 of them. So 71 and 72. They have 50 71s and 50 72s. But normal regular production, you couldn't get a 340 in a regular Dart or a Scamp 1971 up. That had to be in the Demon or the Dart Sport or the Duster body. The code is timed out. How has it not been timed out yet? Ajax 750. What advantage will a 188 have over a 202 for a street strip car looking for good low-end torque? You're not going to see that much of an advantage. It's just better. I'm working on a video. This is like a very heady thing, okay? But I'm working on a video. We'll probably put it out Saturday, right? Not physically, we're not filming it. It's something I'm constructing in my head, and it's based on some conversations, and it's based on some things that have been done, tests that have been done that didn't show like results the way you would expect them to, like, because there are certain things that have been taken for granted since the beginning of drag racing, right? Or hot rodding, drag racing, the acceleration sport. There are things that have been taken for granted as being fact that recently have been tested and found to be not that accurate. And I'm actually working on a whole video about that. And I know it seems like I ran away from your question over here, but I'm not. It's actually, it's to answer that specific thing about large valve versus small valve, low velocity. So you'll see next week, or I guess Saturday. Saturday we should be doing it. Okay. How about Magnum 360 heads as far as casting needs a lot of cleanup? I haven't. I don't have a lot of experience with them. I mean, obviously, I know the heads. I've been through the heads. I've disassembled, reassembled them. I've done some cleanup, porting on them. I've never really gotten. I never really took a deep dive into 360 Magnum heads. I'm not like I'm only familiar with the sets that I had my hand, a couple of sets that I had my hands on. But if you read through the comments on the video we put out today, there's a lot of people talking about the 360 Magnum heads, or just the Magnum heads in general, and how there's issues with the quality control on those. David Koch killed a man in prison. We all have, bro. Let's see. What motors came in 69 Barracuda? A lot of them, actually. 225, 273, 318, 340, 383, and the 440s, M code 440 cars. They built a handful of those. And they got the Savage Barracudas too, 69. Do you ever run aftermarket heads? On my own stuff? No, it's not that I have anything against aftermarket heads, but I like working with the factory castings. You know, everybody has a different thing that they like, right? And I just happen to like, I have a thing for stuff that was cast from the factory. I like factory part numbers on things. And there's absolutely no specific reason at all other than I like that. So that's what I work with. And I like screwing around with things. And so it's not that I have anything at all against aftermarket heads. You know, I mean, if you use them, they're better. I mean, there's no question about it. The aftermarket heads are better than pretty much anything you're going to get, and any results you're going to get from the cast iron stuff. So, you know, don't take what my personal tastes, what I like, don't take that as gospel. You know what I mean? Aftermarket heads are awesome. I just don't happen to use them because I like part number. I like factory part numbers. I know it's just me. It's just me. Vernon Lewis. Is there much difference between aluminum and stainless steel rocker arms? Depends on the RPM. It depends on the RPM you're running. You're not going to see any appreciable difference in valve train weight under 3,000 or 4,000 RPM. But the higher up the scale you go, the weight becomes exponentially more important. Old Crony's Garage. You know, the Magnum 360 heads have the same problem as the 350 Chevy has cracks. You know, here's the thing about that, right? And this is something I've always said. Right now, as we sit here, out in traffic, there's probably 10,000 vehicles out there right now with Magnum motors that have cracked heads. Okay, because they crack between the valve seats. Right? It's a thin spot. But there's no water jacket up above, right? You have to go way high to get to a water jacket, and the crack doesn't go that high. The crack doesn't torch out, right? The only way you know those heads are cracked is if you take them off and examine them and find the cracks. If you didn't know the crack was there, the car would just keep running. There's no problem. So people, oh, the head's cracked, I got to trash it. I mean, there are just some faults or some defects that are just common and they come with the territory, but they're not detrimental. And those cracks that are typically found on a Magnum head, they're not detrimental. Like I would have no problem at all running a set of cracked Magnum heads. Like if you give me a set of Magnum heads and says, here, put these on one of your engines, I'd be like, okay. I wouldn't think twice about it. I would just bolt them on and go. Okay, Martin Hildebrand. Thank you, sir. Okay, 30 over 383, hydraulic cam, break-in, 504, 528. That's a good cam. That's a good cam. I actually have one of those. That cam is going in my the 3D3 for. It's the Mopar version of the 528. I'm not sure if it's, but anyway, have 80cc aluminum heads, 214, 181 with flat top pistons with reliefs. Should I leave off my windage tray? No. Why would you leave off your windage tray? Also, give me an idea on total timing. Okay, the motor's gonna be happiest 30. Well, let's see, it's 3D3. Okay, of 400, 440, they work best up there in the 36-degree range. Because you got a lot of real estate. The 3D3 is a 4.25-inch bore. It'll be happier between 32 and 34 total, maybe 35 total at the max. And you want that in early, like 3D3 wants to lead early, right? Yeah, so that's that. But why would you want to leave the windage tray off? You never want to leave the windage tray off. That's, and the Big Block happens to have a really efficient windage tray. Nick Clark was pissed when I bought aluminum aftermarket heads, had an issue with one of them, discontinued a year later, had no support, and I had to buy a fresh set of heads, expensive. Yes, I know. See, that's another reason why I prefer to work with modified factory parts. Because if I have a head that's junk, right, I take the head and I throw it away and I grab another one off the shelf and I just keep going, So yeah, I mean, but again, see, everybody has different tolerances and different things that they, Ryan T. Have you worked on a set of stage 4 iron heads? No, I haven't. Or came across a set throughout the years. Yeah, actually, I know there's a set sitting about 15 miles from here, but they're not for sale. We ran a 767 Barracuda turning intake valve and 1030s with a 470 stroker. Yeah, no, they're yeah. There's a guy up the road that's got a set, but I gotta wait for him to die. Mopar man. Oh, your tornado warning. Hey guys, yeah, seriously. I hope you got if you watch. Oh, Fubar, I didn't even see you there, brother man. If you're in the sun, I hope you've got an ear tuned for like the weather service or tornado sirens, anything like that, because there's supposed to be a bunch of crazy stuff happening through the whole South this evening, at about this time. So, just be aware, Let's see, Tony, you a fan of gear drive on LA Motor? I'm not a fan of gear drive on anything except a blown nitro motor, and the reason for that is because the timing gears transmit too many of the harmonics from the valve train, or too many of the harmonics from the crank and the rods up into the valve train. On an engine, the only time I would recommend using, the only time I would see using a gear drive is on a fuel motor, and that's because of the way they accelerate from idle, the way the motor picks up from idle, because you're going from a 2500 RPM idle to like 7500 faster than you can blink your eye, and a chain ain't going to do that. So there's where a gear drive. But no, for the most part, I don't like to use gear drives on anything because it transfers the harmonics from the crank up into the valve train, and the valve train has enough of its own harmonics to deal with. Rude Mopar dude, you're securing your cars. Bad weather tomorrow. Yeah, it's springtime, That's the price you pay for getting out of winter. Now the weather tries to kill you in different ways. Ford 300 and 240 is a gear driven from the factory. Yes, but those are nylon gears. Those aren't steel gears they use on those motors. It's not even nylon. It's like a fiber. it's like I forget what you even call them, but they're not the steel gears. And they're also not high performance engines. Tony, have you tried epoxy in intake ports? I haven't found it at last. I mean, I've overshot, a time or two, and gotten like, especially in the small box, and gotten into push rod holes. Generally, what I'll do is I'll weld it up. You can't get a non-porous weld on cast iron. But what I'll do is I'll weld it up as best I can, and then I'll use an epoxy, and then also heat the epoxy. You want to get it to flow. You don't want to just put it on room temperature. You want it to flow into the pores. So I get the epoxy in there, and then just keep heat on it for about 5 or 10 minutes. So not a lot of heat, but enough so that it sets into the pores of the metal. Let's see. Okay, we got a ding dong over here. What's in Nashville done English? Do you think if you put really stiff valve springs on a 240, you mean the straight six feet for a solid roller, do you think it would strip the teeth off the brown color gears? No. No. I mean, it depends on the stiffness of the gears, right? But no. Hey, Lobo, what's going on, brother man? Silverville, could you rough up the intake ports with fine grit sandpaper to provide a funneling effect to the valve? I don't know about a funneling effect, but you want to keep a texture on the intake. See, on the exhaust side, you want it as smooth as you can get it, right? Because exhaust doesn't want to stick to anything. But on the intake side, the intake wants to stick to the walls, to the walls of the port. So you want some texture there. So you don't have to use fine grit. You could use a coarse, right? As long as it's a smooth, meaning like all of your transitions are smooth and there's no abrupt changes in the shape of the port. Every port's a little different, right? Having texture on the walls is to your benefit. You always want to have a texture on the intake side. Nick Clark, how do you feel about power adders on a 110 cam? Too much blow? Well, it's not blow by, but blow through. Yeah, I mean, 112, 114 is ideal for anything you want to keep in the combustion chamber, like nitrous oxide, because you get down on 110. Even 110 isn't so bad. You get like to a 109, 108, and yeah, you're blowing a good deal of what you're trying to burn in the motor right through the exhaust, or right through. But no, 110 isn't too much. It's not ideal, but it's not too much. Let's see. Did 7340s have X heads or just 68, 69? 70s had J's. Texture on walls only for carb engines or port injection. For anything. Because even with port injection, you're still well, it depends how deep into the port you're injecting. But if it's like typical runner in the intake, the injector in the intake manifold runner, yeah, you're still sending a mixture through. So any place that has it'll want to stick. So yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's normally aspirated or it's just the fact that you're blowing a liquid, a mist-laden charge through there, and it's going to want to stick and fall out of atomization. When the walls have a texture, the air coming through, the column air coming through doesn't want to stick. It stays a little turbulent on the side, and so it flows. It's the golf ball effect. Let's see. Silverman, is there anything inherent to a Dominator besides big CFM and manual secondaries that make them bad street carbs? Well, there's nothing wrong with manual secondaries, and really, it's a racing carburetor. They're not the transition circuits are not designed for street driving. That's essentially it. It's the metering of it. Now, somebody who's very sharp with tuning the transition side of the Holley carburetor, I'm sure could make one work. Unity Motorsports Garage. If you're thinking about running a Dominator on the street, why don't you give him a message? Throw him a message on his channel, Unity Motorsport Garage, and I'm sure he could tell you exactly what you would need to make that Dominator work on the street. Anxious Ward, did you ever see someone putting dividers at the bottom of the intake ports to create turbulence? Yes. I don't remember where I've seen it, but I saw some Vortec generators, which are like triangle shaped, triangle shapes, right? I know I've seen Vortec generators in the floor of intake ports on something, but I don't know where I saw it. It might have been 2 months ago. It might have been 20 years ago. I don't know, but I have seen that. Other than that, there were common modifications, like for instance on the Hemi cross rams, they used to epoxy pops of ice cream pop sticks, the popsicle sticks. They used to epoxy the ice cream pop sticks to the bottom of the floor because the fuel would puddle there, and I guess if they put those sticks in, it would keep the air moving in a turbulent enough direction that the fuel would not fall out of atomization. But yeah. Let's see. Mike's Garage on a 4.6 modular engine, which I'm only vaguely familiar with. Is there any downside of having a tighter quench? Piston head clearance is 44 thousandths, and you want approximately 34 thousandths using OEM cams and new pistons with added valve release. I don't think valve. You're talking about taking 10 thousandths no. You're talking about reducing quench by 10 thousandths of an inch. I seriously doubt you've got any valve interference issues making that change. The ideal distance to quench, okay, so in a perfect world, you're building a quench engine. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But you're building the engine for quench, okay? The ideal situation is that the piston touches the cylinder head, doesn't bang it, but the piston actually touches the cylinder head. 0.00000 is the ideal clearance for a quench motor. That's where you get optimum quench, okay? So beyond that, the only limitation at that point is how much movement is in the reciprocating assembly. So at full tilt up and down and through the temperature range, how high is that piston going to get? But the old saying with stock super stock guys, the old saying was, if the pistons are not hitting the heads, you're leaving power on the table. So that's the guide that I've always gone with as far as quench goes. Trash metal in front of us. If you're torn between port and gasket matching or roots blower, go with the blower. Yeah, you can expect different level of results. You know what I'm saying? It's a slightly different level of results. Rayota, could a trans popping out of reverse be caused by a bad clutch? No. Or is it always usually the trans? Yeah, no, there's nothing in a clutch, regardless of the transmission make. There's nothing I can think of in a clutch to make a car pop out of reverse. There's no direct correlation. Let's see. Offenhauser Porto Sonic, good motors. Oh, motors. Those are good intake manifolds. Do you recommend Witness Zero? Do you recommend unshrouding the valve on a cylinder head? Well, why would you want to ever have a valve shrouded? I mean, think about it. Yes, I would definitely recommend unshrouding where it's necessary, and it's really only necessary typically is when the valve it gets too big for the combustion chamber, too big for the cylinder wall it's going to come in contact with. So, yes, getting in there and let's say cleaning the very top of the bore if it's necessary to unshroud the valve. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Okay. By the picture, we thought we'd hear the Frankenstein Buick motor. Yeah, well, Uncle Kathy put the thumbnail up. I didn't realize what was going on with that. Okay. Big Bear says, I need another cup of coffee. I might. Anthony Perna, does gasket matching work with exhaust manifolds? Yes, absolutely. It works in every case. All you're doing is you're smoothing the transition from one component to the next. So by gasket matching the intake, gasket matching the exhaust, you're making sure that there's no, you know what I'm saying, like intrusions into that flow into the column. So yes, absolutely.
Do you need more coffee?
Oh no more coffee right now.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Let's see. Need metal. I think gasket matching is secondary to bowl porting. They're both important, and it really has a lot to do with the degree also. How bad is the gasket is the port mismatch? How bad is the bowl? So, I mean, they're all important, and see that's like one of those things about making power, right? Where you say, well, this is only going to make a power, 1 horsepower, 2 horsepower, it's not worth doing. Oh, that's only going to make 2 horsepower, that's not worth doing. Oh, that's only half a horsepower, that's not worth doing. That may not make any horsepower at all, it's not worth doing. Do all of those things pick up 75 horsepower? You see what I'm saying? It's like, so it's all of it. You do all of it. Okay, what's this? Hey, well, why do some cars have a drum brake where the assembly comes apart, like when the star adjuster drops out? You put it in backwards. You put it in backwards. That's a common thing, right? People don't understand that the star wheel, right? is because if you got a self adjuster on there, right? The star wheel is it's side specific. So if you put a left side adjuster on the right side of the car, every time the adjuster goes to actuate it, it's loosening it and it'll eventually fall out. I've had that happen. I've had cars, you're driving along, you hit the brake, all kinds of crazy noises and stuff like that, and you find out that somebody put the self adjuster in backwards. Anthony Rowan, what do I think of stepped headers? I'm fascinated by TriWise, which is kind of another version of the whole stepped header idea. And I mean, the only reason you really use a stepped header is for clearance around the port. Like for instance, this you take like a small block Mopar. 1 3/4 is max. It's happy at 1 5/8 out of the port, right? But then you can't get much bigger around there. So you go to 1 3/4, 1 7/8, a little bit further down. So I mean, that's really the only reason. There's no real benefit that I can think of to a stepped header other than just clearance off of the head itself. But from a performance standpoint, I don't think that there's any benefit to the step itself, but I could be wrong. Oh, let's see. Oh, Danny Boy, they were on the correct side. I had a Fox Mustang and a Ford Tempo, which did that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So I never had that problem with a Ford. I've had them with Chryslers though. Joe Wentworth, do I think undercutting valves is worth the risk? How far are you undercutting them? I mean, I don't. There's, if a moderate cleanup is no, there's no risk to that. Let's see. Doug Narden. Okay. Greg McDonald, did you happen to see the exhaust manifold dynoing Nick's Garage did the other day between the MaxWedge, HP manifolds, and headers? No, I did not. But wait, let me guess. The MaxWedge and the HP manifolds were just about tied, and with the MaxWedge having like an advantage of like 1 or 2 horsepower over the HP manifolds, and the headers, I'm going to say 12 to 15 horsepower just bolted on, and then 30 horsepower with jet changes. Am I close? What was this now? Max was 2 NS horsepower, HP was left. Yeah, Max was your second, HP manifold was less, but by how much? MaxWedge had a cast header. Yeah, well, you know, the thing, you got to realize something about the MaxWedge, okay? You can't run those headers just by themselves. They have to be attached. The MaxWedge is a cast iron header. It's what it is, it's just a cast iron header. But the collector, right, is actually the head pipe that comes off of that. So if you just ran the exhaust, I don't know if you ran it with a head pipe or just manifolds bare. That would be a power killer. You actually need to run that head pipe to come off of those. Okay, let me see here. Max, somebody just had the results on that. Okay. The HP manifolds made 375, while the Max Wedge manifolds made 411. That's a huge jump. That's a huge jump. Wow. Headers did 414, I believe. Oh, I'll go look at that video. I wasn't aware that he had done that. Jeremy Pike. The wedge manifolds gain like 40 horsepower over the HP manifolds. But I had no idea that would be, because I've never seen a back-to-back dyno test on those things. I had no idea they would be that efficient. The header scratched out less than 5 horsepower more. That's a lot. I mean, you're talking about 45 horsepower difference over the HP manifolds total with the headers. That's Joel Wentworth. Do you still need a stock bore 340 for the dyno testing? I don't need that. Richard Holdner needs that. So if you have one, contact him. HP manifolds were of the log type. Max. Oh wait, no, that's on an HP manifold. That would explain if it was a test between log manifolds, like regular passenger car log manifolds, and the Max Wedge. Then yeah, I could see a 40 horsepower difference there. FX2 Mark 7. Would your dream shop include an engine or chassis dyno? I'm thinking about a chassis dyno. I'm giving it some consideration. An engine dyno by itself leaves too many variables on the table. On 87-18 roller block with 302 heads, why do 6 pistons have a gas port hole? I have no idea. They were 440 Magnum manifolds. Which were they? Were they log manifolds or were they HP manifolds? Yeah, the chassis. I'm seriously thinking about it. Mustang has one. Mustang makes one that is actually portable. You can put it on a trailer. They make it so you can bring it to shows and events like that. And they're priced pretty reasonably, actually. Bruce W. Hi, Tony. Did you see my comment about going some lives with your old drag buddies in a day? It's possible. I didn't see the comment, but yeah, that could probably be done. It would be fun. All right. I'm going to go on my phone. Hang on. I'm going to go on my phone to Nick's Garage. Let's see. And I'm going to find this. There was 440 Super Commando manifolds. Nick's Garage. This is his most recent video. Dyno room exhaust valve. Okay, hang on. I gotta wait for this ad to play. Ads. Did the 426 Hemi ever get cast iron headers? Yes, they were all cast iron headers. Okay, so I'm seeing a Max Wedge. Okay, yeah, those are those are just HP manifolds. Those are they're not logs. Those are HP. The one, okay, on those manifolds, the driver's side looks, comes up high, right? And the passenger side, if you look at it from the passenger side, you would say, oh, it's like a low performance manifold, because it doesn't look like the driver's side comes up like this, and then the passenger side kind of comes down a little bit and flows. But no, those are the good manifolds. Those are the 67 and up HP manifolds. Let's see. Let's see. Would you ever do your hot rod tricks, gasket matching adjustable cam gears on the Miata engine? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. First plan with the Miata is just to get it running, right? Because I just want to get it running. I know I got to take the motor out. I know it's got a rear main seal leak and it needs a clutch. So the motor is definitely coming out. But before I take it out, I want to get it running. So step one is to get it running. But then step two, there's a lot of things I've been reading up on the Miata. Excuse me, and one of them is using two exhaust cams. You replace the stock intake cam with a second exhaust cam, and it's supposed to give you it's supposed to increase lift and duration. But yeah, I'm absolutely going to mess around with the Miata motor. Do you have a Dana 60 in the Chiron? Yes. It's just word 406 and 427 Ford had header style manifolds like the Max Wedge and Hemi, and the largest benefit was weight reduction when you replace them with headers. I don't recall seeing. I mean, I'm sure they were there in some form, but I can't actually picture that manifold on an FE motor. Um, Good night, Doug. Let's see. Los Cadaver. I found a Polara with a Poly 318 3-speed and dual exhaust. Debating it for the 700. The guy wants. Go get it. What are you waiting for? What year is it? Charles Manson, what's the absolute worst thing you've ever done to an innocent car? Be honest. I can't. I mean, the worst? No. I mean, I can't talk about that. Well, are you driving a 66 Dart? Actually, no. The last time I drove the 66 was like a couple of days after I bought it, and it's sitting at the back of the lot right now. I'm going to bring it over to the new shop, and all I want to do with that car, it's so original. Everything on it is so original that I just want to fix that quarter panel. I mean, it doesn't really no damage. I sanded it and primed it, but I just want to straighten out that 1/4 panel, and I want to recover the interior and just leave it exactly stock alone and just make it like a nice Sunday afternoon, mellow cruise around car. Several big YouTube FX Mark 8. Several big YouTube car guys now have shows on Motor Trend's app. Would you talk to them if they reached out to you? No. I'm not interested in. I like this. We're thinking about starting with the new show. One of the reasons why we're moving into a new space is because we want to produce different product for a couple of different formats. So, but I'm not interested in working for Motor Trend. Any plans to do paint on Bottle Rocket? I like the car's patina, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not that bad. The car's like completely rust free. It's got a little spot of rust about yay big behind one of the back wheels, but like everything else is just pristine on that car. So I think I just want to leave it the way it is, and let's see. Oh, the Polara is a 63. Ooh, a 63 Polara for $700. Dive on it. Dive on it. I mean, I'm not that I would part something like that out, but I mean, seriously, if the stainless on the front of the car is clean, you get your $700 back. Good day, Ozzy Daz. Have you had time to watch the E49 video I shared on Facebook? I have not. I haven't been on Facebook. Facebook has just got so much noise, right? It's like, there's a lot of negativity on Facebook. It's like I got to be in just the right frame of mind to like go cruising through there. But I'll keep it in mind next time I'm on there. I'll give a look. Let's see. You guys talking about the RPM Act? Okay. Facebook is pure evil. I'm not going to disagree with you. John Desk, have you ever done work on a Beetle? Yes, of course. Should I restore a 64 bug? Is there any profit here? You don't ever ask me about flipping a car for profit, because that's just not my, you know what I mean? I couldn't give you an answer on that. That's not the way my head works. You'd have to ask somebody who knows the market for those cars. If you do it because you dig the car, then yeah, by all means, I'd be all over it. But I couldn't tell you what, how, where, when to make a profit with it. Bruce W. Hemi 6 are amazing. You were missing out on something pretty amazing. It would blow the doors off the Slant 6. No doubt. There's no question about it. But it's not a Slant 6. And the reason I'm attracted to the Slant 6 is because it's so difficult to make power with. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for the Hemi 6. I have all the respect in the world for the big Ford, the 300, or the Chevy motor, the 292. There's a lot of really stout, the Toyota, right? There's so many stout 6-cylinder motors out there. But I like the Slant because it's not that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a challenge to make power with it. So that's why I'm drawn to it. I mean, if the name of the game was just making power, well, then shit, put a V8 in it. Why even bother screwing around at all with a 6? Hyperpack Slant Sixes were amazing because they dominated pony class NASCAR. There was just one or two races from the 1960 year. There was a NASCAR class. I forgot what they called it, like a compact sport class or whatever it was, and it only lasted for the 1 year. They didn't have much chance to dominate beyond, you know. Um, Mopar Man saying someone here in Branson area has a VW Carmen Ghia sitting off to the side of the driveway for 3 years. There's a yellow one next to my kid's house, Uncle Crystal. Like 10 doors down from them, there's a yellow Carmen Ghia sitting on the side of their house. And if I wasn't all full up with cars, I mean, I'm jammed. I want that. Andrew Button, wasn't that early Hyperpack an aluminum block? No, the the engines that they ran in that sport compact class were 170s, and no, there were never any aluminum 170s, only the 225. Um, Scott Stocker, have you ever notched the tops of cylinders for bigger valves using a die grinder? Yes, yes. Just be careful with it. Um, Zero trash metal. You have studied the ways of Bruce Lee. Be like water, my friend. Man, you know what? Honestly, right? That applies so much to hot rodding, right? That whole concept of be like water, right? I cannot begin to tell you how crucial that is to like the proper mindset of like screwing around with cars. Um, let's see. Charles, let's see. Charles mentioned, let's say hypothetically, someone wanted to put a 22 horsepower V twin in a small car. It's been done. You know, of any common transmissions a guy could look for with high gearing? It's been done. Actually, they did a whole thing on Top Gear. Little British sports car. Is it a three wheeler? Might be a three wheeler. It may or may not be a three wheeler, but I remember it was very narrow in the back, and it's got a V twin, like a Harley V twin, mounted out like in front of where the grill would be. But I have no idea what transmission they used in that. But oh God, just Google V twin sports car, right? And I'm sure you'll find Morgan three wheeler. Yeah, that's it, right? Am I right about that? Is it an HD? Yeah, yeah, Morgan cars. And is that an HD motor on it, or did they use a Yamaha? HD. Okay. I think that's neat as hell. James Kaiser says to use a Subaru transmission. I guess you could do that. Les Paul, the Les Paul? Let's see. My parents think a 66 Dart is a bad idea for a first car. They think it's insanely unreliable. How much truth is there to that? How many daily annoyances do you have with a Slant 6? Oh, God, Les, that's a tough question to answer. Be prepared to tinker with it. Now, the engine itself is sound, right? Just regular maintenance, okay? Just regular maintenance. Get the service manual for the or at least the pages having to do with maintenance, okay? The engine itself is sound, but the reality is you're still dealing with a car that's 55 years old, 56 years. I can't even do the math. Yeah, 55. It's 55 years old. So yes, you're always going to be tinkering with it. I tinker with my cars all the time, constantly. But it's not an annoyance to me because I enjoy that. You know what I mean? I just like the little thing like okay, the dashboard light went. Okay, I'll fix the dashboard light. Turn signals not. Okay, fix that. You know what I mean? A little squeak from the front end. Get in there and lube that, right? And so it's like, but I like that. That's how I relax. Some people relax. I watch TV. I relax by tinkering with my older cars. So Les Paul. Yeah, you're always going to be tinkering with it, but that's the fun. And it's like it's bonding with your machine and mastering it and so on and so forth. It's hard if it's going to be your first car and it's going to be like your only car. It's going to cause a lot of aggravation. But if you could score, like if you've got the room in your world for 2 cars, and you could score just like a old Prius or some shit like that for your scooting around, then that 66 Dart, if it's your hobby car and when you're going to work on and restore or do it, or whatever you're going to do with it, then that would be the ideal way to go. Les, you work in a body shop, and I have a good understanding of engines and general maintenance. They don't get it. Nobody's parents ever gets what they're going to do. My parents still don't get what I do. Listen, Les, you got to be your own man. You got to be your own man, and you got to own your decisions. Just whatever it happens to be, man. Just if you want that car, you know what? Tell your parents, listen, I respect you, I love you, but listen, I got to cut my own path on this. So. Best advice I can give you, I think. Let's see. Bryce, UTG, would you do a old school pro stock type build or today's fast division? Fast. Yeah, absolutely. I have no interest in old school pro stock cars, but if I had the time to devote, well, I mean, okay, so if I had the time to devote to a fast, a FAST car. And for those guys who aren't familiar with FAST is factory appearing stock tire. And it's a class where the cars look and sound exactly as they came off the showroom floor, but run these ridiculous astronomical numbers, like they're down in the single digits on 7-inch wide polyglass tires through the stock exhaust manifolds. No power adders, no nothing. I mean, it's like the most high science. It's just mind blowing what those guys do. And if I could devote the time to a car like that, then yeah, I would absolutely. There's no question. I wouldn't even consider it old school pro stock type build. It would definitely be a fast car. Okay. Andrew Button. I lived on a farm and bought cars and hid them from the parents. That's what one needs to do. I lived in New York City and had to hide cars from my parents. When I turned 17 in New York, you get your license when you're 17. Instead of sending me my license in the mail, they sent me a notice saying I had been revoked for unpaid tickets that I had gotten when I was like 15 and 16. Yeah, I used to hide cars and motorcycles all through my neighborhood. Please, it was crazy, you know. Um, well, part A bodies forever. Let's try 0. Um, Vince Rencher, hello from New Jersey. I'm one of the guys that has a plastic '79 Corvette. They're great cars, man. Uh, let's see. Brian Morrow. He's building a big black dart, needs some help with parts. What help do you need? Brenda Cargill, prove to yourself you are capable of owning a Mopar. Here you go. There's the test. Let's see. Oh, you're looking for the factory radiator for that thing. Oh, bro. Maybe someone here can help you. I have no idea. Replica. I left a letter asking for forgiveness when I bought my motorcycle. I crashed my first motorcycle before my parent. Well, Kyle Wagner, would modern unleaded gas damage unhardened seats in a '67 Pontiac 400? Also, what grade gas would you recommend? They make lead substitutes. I can't tell. See, on some engines, there is no negative effect. Like I could tell you on these '60s Chryslers that I drive, there is no negative effect. I've had them apart, and these things are in continuous use, and I've never seen any deterioration on the valve seat. Um, and especially like with the slant sixes, because it's easy to tell because it's solid lift or it close up the lash, you know what I mean, and it'll start floating the valve, so it'll run like shit. And I've yet to have to adjust one of them because of that. So and then other engines are prone to it. I couldn't tell you if Pontiac is. You might want to ask on a forum uh, where people are familiar with that specific engine and see if it's notable that that's a problem with it. Let's see. Mitten Made Muscle. I was wondering if you wanted to have auto archaeology try to find a car. You contact them. A 1970 pink Hemi Cuda 4-speed pistol grip convertible with a white interior. Sat in the backyard around the block from me. Contact him yourself, by all means. I mean, yeah, that's like a holy grail kind of find. Um, what's the best post-apocalyptic vehicle? Anything I own. Okay. Mikey Four Barrel. 5.9 Magnum runs okay with Holly 650. Worth upgrading to a 750. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, A 5.9 Magnum, yeah, double your cubic inches. That's your starting point. Double your cubic inches and then go up from there. An 850, vacuum secondary 850 is probably what you want to go with on that. Los Cadera, is it wrong for me to use my grandpa's customer records to track down old cars? No, why would that be wrong? That's ingenious. Yeah, I know. By all means, do that. If I had access to records like that, nothing wrong with that at all. You're not doing anything unscrupulous at all. Let's see. He used to own a Dodge dealership in the 50s to 80s. That's interesting. Yeah. I seriously doubt you're going to find very much after all of this time, but it's worth taking a look at. But yeah, not unscrupulous at all. Okay. Was there a pink mod top Cuda? That's how I would have ordered one. I love the Panther pink, and I love the mod top. Let's see. Danny, can I store my Fox 50 in Denside truck with you? Just today, I'm like, I've got 15 cars and trucks and a trailer, and I probably need a second trailer, and I have no place to. I'm jammed up. Let's see. Old Barn Shop. Tony, I have a 400 and a set of 440 HE rods. Should I make a stroker of SP? What else do I need, or should I just stick with the all 400 stuff? Well, you definitely don't want, and this is going to be part of the video that I'm doing, but you don't want to use the 440 rods on the 400 block. You want to use the short 3 to 400 rods with the 440 crank, and that'll get you the classic 451 stroker, which is like all around the happiest big bike. I don't know why they didn't do this in the factory, but that'll give you about the most happiest all around combination there is. But you don't use the 440 rods. Use 440 crank with the 400 rods. Albert the Chillin'. I'm the man. Thank you. I'm gonna tell you, do you need help moving into your new shop? I can drive down from Ohio and give you a hand. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. It's the kind of thing I got to do it myself because I got to move everything and systematically place it where it's got to be. And thank you though. Bryce Freeman, what's your personal best engine out of the muscle car era? I talk about this often. If I had to pick one, if I had to live with just one engine, from that era, right, and it had to fit all of the different, criteria of something that's going to perform and live in the modern world and be reliable and take a beating, I would have to flip a coin between a 383 and the 340. The Kickendell, roll up your windows. Let's see. Tony, I'm currently running a 4-barrel carb on a cast iron intake. It was put on years ago and was running or switching out for aluminum intake would be better. Generally speaking, yes. Would it be run cooler? I don't know. I mean, it may run cooler. Probably, yeah, I think it would have less of a heat soak issue. But I can't tell you to what degree. You know what I'm saying? Just because aluminum will always dissipate heat quicker than cast iron will. So heat soak would be less of an issue. Constant running temperature, yeah, I don't think you're going to see much of a difference. But mostly, I would think that you would want to go for the improved porting. You're going to have an aftermarket aluminum intake manifold is going to always have a higher level of engineering in it, or a higher level of thought given to port contour and size and runner length and plenum, and all of those things make a difference. So I would say choice between aluminum or aftermarket aluminum or stock cast iron, go with the aftermarket aluminum. Uh, 225.6. Okay, wait. Hello. I got to go back and find what the question was. Uh-oh. I think I've reached that point in live where I just start looking at things and I'm not like reading them. It's like um, Hickendell. Any advice on break-in oil and additive for the initial break-in? And what's the best way to go to roughly guess the RPM if you don't have a tach? Getting a 2.5 AM cedar motor back from the shop next week. I Shell Rotella as your base oil, and then use any of the zinc additives. Lucas is the cheapest of them, but any of those, any of the high zinc additives, you know, you don't have to go crazy with it. Just right. And best way to roughly guess the RPM if you don't have a tach. You want to get it up in that 2,000 RPM range. So, okay, the fast idle cam, right? Fast idle cam. Usually, the highest setting of the fast idle cam, you know, for when the choke is on, usually that's up. That'll put you up in the 2,000 or so RPM range, maybe a little bit higher. So what I would do is after the motor starts, right? Okay, picture this now, okay? Take a go, listen, okay? Motor's running, okay? Choke is closed, motor's running, right? Okay? When the choke opens up, when you would go to kick it down, right? Well, kick it down, but manually, you know, open it, right? But manually make sure that you wouldn't even have to actually let the choke open on its own, and don't kick it down. If you got the fast idle cam set at its highest point, right? Let the choke open, right? The choke will open, but unless you kick it down, it'll stay on the fast idle cam. If by some chance it pulls it off as the choke is opening, as soon as you hear the RPM drop, just manually grab the fast idle cam, open the throttle, and put it back into that highest position. And that should give you right about the RPM that you're going to need. Okay. John Wilburn, I saw a question about the aluminum. What are the differences between manual automatic crankshafts in models that are different? Okay, all manual transmission crankshafts are drilled for the pilot bushing. Nearly all steel crank, actually all steel crank Chrysler products from that era are drilled also for pilot bushing. Only some cast crank motors are drilled for the pilot bushing. But you'd have to ask me year and engine specific for me to actually answer that question. Hey, Olive, how are you? Cement Surfer. That's a cool name. Doing us a great service, sharing knowledge. Thank you for these weekly technical classes. It's not just me sharing knowledge. We have a great group of people here in the comments, right? There's a ton of knowledge here. None of us know everything, so that people kick in and they fill in the blanks. So yeah, this is a great collective of gearheads. You know what I mean? And thank you for joining us. You know what I mean? Don't thank me for sharing knowledge. Thank you for absorbing it. I can't take this shit to the grave with me, right? Okay, where are we at here? Gideon Wallace. Okay. I got my step-up springs to the stiffest ones I could get on my 650 Everbot carb, and they are still stuck down. Now this thing has a tarantula 6 intake on a stock 400. What to do? They're stuck down. You mean you open the throttle and they don't pop up? Maybe there might be something in the board that's making them stick. Yeah, all steel cranks are drilled. Some cast cranks are drilled. Like, for instance, all of your 318 cast cranks, they're all drilled. Because the 318 was primarily a low-budget truck motor, so a lot of them came just, with the automatic, with the 3-speed, so that was common. You get into the big blocks, once they went to cast cranks, none of the 440s are drilled from the factory. And some of the B motors, the 400 cranks are. Right, yeah. All of the slant sixes are, regardless of okay. Jason Fitch. Any clue why Ford ran Saginaw power steering pumps in mainly Econolines, but not other trucks? They use the whiny Thompson. I hate those pumps. Oh God. Yeah, no, this Saginaw is like head and shoulders above that. I do not know why Ford did that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you could those Thompson pumps. You can hear them from like blocks away. They just sound like a mistake. I have no idea why Ford used those. Tow truck. Let's see it more. You will. Okay. Vince Rancher, yeah, I like the new feature of displaying the question. Yeah, this is cool. This is actually we did a live with old car guy in Straight Six Fan, and this is the software that they were using. So it worked out. It worked so nicely that Uncle Kathy set it up now. So when we do our lives, we can do that, and now we could also bring in other people. So I can bring in one other. Well, I'm looking at the pictures of the option of pictures of people. So I could bring in like I could bring everybody in, I guess, if you all had cameras. But yeah, this works great. Plans with the Miata. Get it to as soon as we're in the shop, the Miata goes in there, and first step is to get it running. Then, because I just want to get it running, and then the motor's got to come out. It's got a bed clutch and it's got a rear main seal. So, depending on what it sounds like when I get it running, is whether or not I'm going to tear into it or just stick it back in the car. Mike's Garage. What do I think about Driven break-in oil? It has high zinc oil but a low amount of detergents. I don't know about it. I've never heard of it. Driven break. Is it new? I mean, who makes it? I don't know. Maybe somebody has an opinion on that. Are you excited about your shop? Yeah, I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm expecting you to be up there. Old barn shop. What size carb should I use in my 400? Is a Predator carburetor good? Always double the cubic inches as your starting point. So 400, you should be looking at an 800 CFM carb. Actually, the 400, you're almost out of the range of any Edelbrock because like an 800 Edelbrock flows about 750 CFM. So I would say like an 850 Holly is probably where you want to go with that thing. Predator carburetor, okay, look around at the world of cars. Look around at all the hot rods. Think about how long the Predator's been around. And before it was a Predator, it was the Koenig. Okay, so that goes all the way back to the 60s, right? Look around at the world of cars that are hot rods, drag racing, and tell me how many of those things you see out in the world. And that will answer your question as to whether or not it's a good carburetor. Okay. You're welcome, old barn shop. All right, guys, we're creeping up on 2 hours here now. I'm I'm all talked out. Uh, uh, so yeah, we're just gonna hit another couple of them and we'll. It's gonna be a quality product, so I guess it's okay. Dakota did kill. Did you really kill a man in timeout? Because that's badass. Did you get the little tattoo, like the teardrop tattoo? Thank you, Big Bear. I appreciate that. Uh, Brian Brinker. I've never power steering fluid in my life. I always use ATF. On our older cars, it's fine, but on the newer stuff, like with racks, no, that I would seriously think about using there was something about that, but I don't remember what it was. See, now I'm getting to that point where I'm at brain lock. But yeah, on our older cars, yeah, absolutely. With a regular conventional steering box, a Warman sector steering box, the ATF is fine. But when you get into the racks with the nylon guides and shit like that on both sides, I think there's a reason to use the power steering fluid. Uh, Wayback Tech. Everyone else always says no more than 1.5 times CFM of engine for street use. Well, then go with their advice. My advice is to double it. You know, they might be right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But ATF is a wonder shop for everything we work on. That's the truth. That's the truth. All right, guys. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna wrap it up. So, guys, the mods, all the usual suspects. Eh, Uh, John, Ari, Fubar, Zero. Thank you guys as always. Everybody who contributed through Super Chat, thank you so much. That keeps the wheels turning. You know, we couldn't do it without you guys. And everybody contributed to just to the conversation and the thoughts and kicked in answers and everything else. Thank you. You know, we really appreciate, you know. And next week, like I said, Dallas was busy doing his AHRA stuff because he's getting ready for the season. So I think he had to get a newsletter out or whatever he's doing. He's he's a busy guy. So he will be back next Wednesday night, and we'll go back to the usual thing. So, like I said, guys, everybody, thank you so much. We got crazy weather coming through the south over here. Everybody be safe. Keep an ear open for the emergency broadcast and all of that. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Good night.